Oh, it's time. It seems like it went so fast. We didn't have any major debates or big happenings this week. It seems a little strange. I guess I lost track of time. I was just waiting for the next kerfluffle to break out. But a very tame week on the Discord, but a clearer picture for the playoffs. So I guess let's get to it. That stuff. And honestly, some of the new designs, the black and the Saints.
So officially given up on Taysom Hill. I'm sorry. Welcome to the Chuck and Dave pod, baby.
I'm Chuck.
And I'm Dave.
Here's the pod.
Well, I mean, I'm on vacation already, man. The season's over. I've given up, right?
Well, the season's not quite over yet.
Oh, it's not. Oh, yeah, that's right. There's a week left. Well, somebody on Discord was telling me that I basically just gave up completely and just wasn't even trying anymore. So I figured I'd book my flight to Tahiti.
Yeah, you
take off for a couple weeks, clear my head, then come back and regroup.
That's a great idea. I mean, I took off last week. I can handle playoff duty for the pod here. You know, someone who's actually on the inside. You have given up.
Yeah, says the guy who's clinging to one tiny straw, one little strand at the edge of a cliff. Josh, your rope's about to break.
Not this week. He still can rest easy this week, regardless, basically.
You got a shot this week, but I got a chance to maybe put a little bit more tension on you.
It can be you.
It could be.
Yeah, it was strange this week. Actually, all weekend long, while I was kind of checking on the game stuff, there wasn't a whole lot of conversations going on the Discord. I know you famously do not bother checking in anymore during the games. It's too painful. But I thought maybe the others would have something to say, but there wasn't too much. We read the script, huh?
See, Josh.
It's interesting that the person pushing the script theory is
the commissioner.
It's almost like if I make it think it's a joke, they want
a little psyop going on there. A little psyop.
I'd love it if Roger Goodell came out and was like, "Well, I mean, you guys saw the script, right?"
Yeah, exactly.
Well, week 13 is in the books. We've come a long way since the draft at this point. 1 week left of regular season play.
Mm-hmm.
Then the playoffs will be here.
Yep. I mean, my ending is written, but it's
not officially. There's still a little bit of placement to deal with.
It is true. I could end up with the number 1 overall pick next year.
You could. There's not a single team that is locked into its current seed.
That's pretty crazy.
Will undoubtedly be some shifting, I would think. But yeah, I was thinking about that. You and Kara both. Whoever gets the first pick would also get the 25th pick in the 4th round, and then because both of you have an extra pick in either round 2 or round 3, you end up with 5, I think, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the first 25 picks. But you, because of the Jefferson debacle, essentially have 6 of the first 25, which is basically a quarter of all top 25 players should be on your team next year.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully. I mean, I've thought about switching my drafting duties, taking more of a back seat, more of an overseer view. My GM, Mick AI. Sometimes we call him McAl.
McAl, yeah, I like that.
McAl,
yeah.
Well, sometimes the I gets thought of as an L. People call him the
All
guy.
right.
It's kind of his nickname around the office.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, McAI, he's been wanting to take over some of the more like front office duties. And I'm thinking, let's see what he's got. His brothers are working really well over at Sam's organization and Todd's organization. And like year in, year out, those two guys are in the mix. And if they share any of the same genes, I think I got a shot.
Well, I will say this. I know I speak for everyone when I say draft day becomes more fun the more AIs are involved. We all, it gets a lot more exciting. So I think half the teams drafting on auto would be a wonderful contribution to things here. Secondly, let's take a look at the teams that went AI. So we've got Todd, who's currently in the 3rd seed. You've got Sam, who's currently in the 4th seed. And then you've got Kara's team currently in the 7th seed. So it didn't work out too well for her.
Didn't work out too good for her. But also...
And Sam and Todd's teams have been good, but not great. At the same time, those teams together, all 3 of those teams combined for a total of, what is it?
I'm not giving up on the draft, Josh. Nothing wrong.
Those 3 teams that drafted with the AI have a total of 17 waiver moves this year. So their entire season has basically been what the AI gave them.
Yeah.
Whereas you, who are sitting with 19 moves, would, I assume, do a little more.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
and
it hurt a little bit, I think, at least with Kara, for sure. She got hit by the injury bug pretty badly with one of her top guys getting you can say all you want, Josh, it's called delegation. I'm delegating certain roles to lower people in my company. That's it.
Mark,
you're a manager, you know exactly what it means to delegate. Do you think Mark Murphy's sitting there making draft picks? No, he delegates that to Brian Gutekunst. I'm just delegating it to my lower. I mean, I'm not. You see when Jerry Jones gets all into it, the Cowboys have stunk when he gets his fingers in there. So
now, personally, I've been, focused on this year. And I'll worry about the draft after this year. But I am excited to announce I've got some interviews for some general manager positions. There's a Rich Van Itterstein. I'll be
picking him up.
Maybe bring him on only for postseason work, though. I don't really want what he has during the regular season, but what he did during the postseason, I will miss having Rich around. And you might not know this, Alex, but the predecessor of your team, the Hurricane Force Winds, lost their very first postseason game and then never lost another one. They won the next 5 in a row until they retired from the league. So you have a strong postseason.
Postseason, he's talking about consolation bracket.
I am talking about the consolation bracket, yes. He was not good enough in the regular season to get into the actual playoffs, but he always was the king of mediocre. Mm-hmm. So honestly, it's still possible for the Destroyers to finish as low as 4th, which would still be fairly mediocre. So
it's good.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into the games this past week.
Where you want to start? I will start with this, okay? Every single one of these games, except for our game, the underdog won.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I'm upsetting that I couldn't.
You couldn't keep
the trend alive, but it is what it is.
And now 2 of them were not like big underdogs. Only one of them was a bigger underdog, but still, we have not had many underdog victories of late. So
it's good.
Where are we starting?
Let's Chuck and Dave matchup. Not as fulfilling as the real thing.
It was not at all as fulfilling as the real thing.
No.
Bullcats 134 and the McRibs 91.
I talk about not checking stuff. I'm nobody's underdog. Well, you technically were last week, but let's see. We'll see.
There's no shame in winning as an underdog. We've all done it at this point. Actually, because Kara finally won as an underdog, every single team has now won at least once as an underdog.
Nice. And I've only won as an underdog.
There is still one team that has never won a favored victory, and that is you.
That is me.
And that's probably because you've never been favored.
I may have at the beginning, but I don't know.
You're probably favored at least once, but
so this was actually one that I talk about how I don't track this, but my phone does send me notifications whenever Yahoo, like whenever my players do big scores or stuff. And all of a sudden my phone
must just be exploding all the time if you get something for every score.
Not for every score, but like for at least usually when like some of my players, whenever they score touchdowns or like they have like rip off 40 more yard plays or 20 more yard plays for running backs, I think. So anyway, I'm sitting here watching my phone around, it was probably like noon, 1-ish. And my phone keeps going off about like James Conner ripping off big runs, Taysom Hill scoring touchdowns. And I'm like, wow, this is the first time my phone's like really blowing up with stuff. I'm like, maybe I got a shot. And then I just check and it's just like, you're just going off. And I'm like, it's just, I look once, I click it off, and then I don't watch it again because I know. And then I got a notification that Ramondre Stevenson was questionable to return. And it's like, whenever Yahoo says your player is questionable to return, they never come back. There's no question. No. They just never come back.
I think I saw a stat going into this last week. There was a player who had a questionable designation that they thought was going to play, and he was going to be the first person to actually start a game after having it was a doubtful. He was the first one to start a game after a doubtful.
But didn't.
Not questionable. People start questionable all the time. Yeah, Taysom Hill had a pretty good game once again. He showed up. Otherwise, Connor, he had a good, strong game too. And Butker, solid kicker day there. But everybody else was either just kind of like middling or weak.
Yeah, I mean, Ramondre Stevenson, Jared Goff exceeded expectations, but still 17 points is nothing.
Yeah, the loss of Jackson there, Meanwhile, I had Metcalf on the bench, which I much would have preferred over the Tank Dell injury. Tank Dell had been a major part, I think, the Polecats scoring in the 130s finally. And we were still able to do it, both with him getting injured and with Keenan Allen having a big turd of a day, which, we may have been looking at setting, getting into the 140s here if Tank Dell had actually been able to play on this one. But I put down here the Polecats are staying in the hunt for the top seed. They clinch a bye and sweep the McRibs for the third year in a row.
Yeah.
We'll meet again next year.
One of these times I'll get it.
Undoubtedly. Although statistics will say nobody's owed anything. I've heard that from a wise man.
Nobody's owed anything, but eventually.
The McRibs are now in control of the first overall draft pick. We just talked about the Tank Dell injury. But I had a big game with my Atlanta defense. I'm glad I went with Atlanta over Tampa Bay because that 17 points ended up being pretty solid there. The McRibs have now tied the Fergals for the longest losing streak of the year. That's 6.
Boom, boom.
So, the family that loses together stays together, as they
exactly.
They say.
Exactly.
So yeah, hopefully our matchups next year are for the championship previews.
Man, that'd be amazing.
I don't think people would like it if it was us in the championship game.
I was actually thinking it would have been really cool this week's if it was me and Kara, Josh and Jordan.
Oh, I know.
Jordan, you and Alex.
It would have been wonderful if all 4 of those were playing each other. I thought about that too.
Man, that would be just amazing because that's just like
it's just head to head, man.
It's a shame that the scheduling department couldn't make that happen.
I know. It's too bad that they didn't have the foresight.
If the script writer would have been a little bit more, more creative. could have scripted that. Really ended the year in a bang.
So maybe notes to take down for next year.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
All right, how about the next game?
All right. Well, we had the Durban Giraffes cruise past a wounded Jackals, and I could say a dying Jackals.
I know he's not
limping into the playoffs.
I would not use the term cruised past on this because it actually took the season record as the smallest margin of victory at 0.67.
But Kara had someone who was on bye and didn't switch out. So you're talking about she beat him with one less person. And she overshot her expectations by 18 points.
She sure did. If we looked at what was it, she was currently sitting at minus 25. She would have gotten pretty close to breaking even.
Yeah,
projected points this year. She did very well. I was disappointed to see the bye left in. I think had she lost, we would have had our controversy this week from the commissioner, probably.
He probably would have.
Very strong stance on tanking, although he draws the line with tanking as physically leaving 0 points in and not just putting in crap players. Hard to lose the game that Debo had. Well, I've seen people lose with a 36 on their team.
45 on my team. I got a guy with a 45. 41, I think, actually. But
yeah, I remember that game. That was a Thursday night. It looked like you were definitely going to have great things that week.
Against Alex, too. He put in, I think, Justin Fields, and he did nothing. Or that was maybe the time that Justin Fields got injured. Or no, somebody got injured right away. So he basically scored like 5 points.
Now, Pacheco had a really strong game, too. But on the other hand, A-Kane had a strong game.
Mm-hmm.
And it just wasn't enough over there. Pittman had a good game, too, but
a lot of single digits over there.
What about the bench? How'd the bench do? Oh, I would say, over the year, if we're talking already about awards for the end of the year, Kara's got to be in consideration for most efficient bench use.
She really doesn't have many people on the bench that can.
Despite the losing, she hardly ever leaves points on the bench.
Yeah.
So I don't think that was an award last year, but we might need to make it one.
Maybe.
For this year on things. And maybe she's not actually the most efficient one, but it sure looks like week after week, you look at her bench and they're really, I guess her quarterback would have done a little better, but she lives in Mahomes.
Yeah. I guess she could have put Christian Kirk or T. Higgins in to score an extra four or so points, but
yeah, she wouldn't have gotten a whole lot more by not having the 0 in there, honestly.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, to clear the air, Kara did not do that on purpose. I mean, I think on Sunday night it was on purpose, but we were pretty busy all weekend, so I barely even checked my team.
I'm sorry, I thought that lineup started on Wednesday.
I mean, technically they do, but my wife does not check anything until Sunday at 11:50. So
we learned that Sam doesn't check things on Thursday night.
No, he does not. He does not at all. So
I had to actually remind Sam to switch out his team this week twice, because then he did switch out 1 or 2 and left another one on there. And I was like, dude, you got to finish. Well, here's my final thoughts on the Jackals and the Fergals here. The all-time record for the closest game is 0.32. So it was close to that. That was set last year. Josh beat Sam in week 11 by 0.32 last year. The Fergals got their first underdog win, and they lose the top pick in the draft currently. Also, the 2019 Bulldogs rest easy knowing that they continue to have the worst team of all time with only 2 wins. Kind of like every time the last undefeated team loses, the 72 Dolphins pop open the champagne. Finally, when everyone gets a third win, the 2019 Bulldogs do the same.
Yeah.
Josh also ended his streak of over and under 100 by getting 2 games over 100 points in a row. So possibly getting hot at the right time.
He's getting so hot with 106 points, man.
I had
He's
COVID
hitting his.
before anyone else. Oh, in 2019, he's blamed it on the COVID.
Nice.
We'll give you that. We'll give you that. It was also the first time that the Jackals have had 2 games of 100 or more in a row since weeks 5 and 6.
Wow.
This year. So that's how I see it. Yep. See, his optimism is inspiring to me, honestly.
Inspiring.
It inspires me.
Nauseating.
That's how I would play. That's how I would play. I would never stop digging. I would always be going for that next win. I can't say this for sure because I have never undergone 3 seasons in a row of being terrible, but I feel like I would never. I would always be like, no, I would rather get one more win no matter what than a better draft pick.
Yeah, you get down here, man. Dark thoughts start creeping in.
That's what I'm saying. I've never been in your place, and hopefully I never do.
Dark thoughts start creeping in. I mean,
because it's a lonely place, though.
You get down by me, you start going, do I really need fantasy football in my life? Like that's where you start to like think. I sit here at night racking my brain against the crappy waivers going, should I just give up completely?
Well, I mean, maybe you guys missed this news, but Yahoo Fantasy had to have an emergency meeting this week because they didn't have a setting under bronze, and they needed to find one for Dave.
Yeah.
For his ratings. They came up with paper plate. So that's what
it's going to be tin.
Tin.
Rusty metal.
Rusty. Yeah, you got a rusty broadsword.
Rusty metal. Yeah, that's
right.
It's pretty rough. It's been rough. It's been a rough 3 years.
We certainly hope the best for you next year. Not too much better, but better. What's the next one?
Gosh, you laugh at you laugh at where I am. I'm sad. I'm down here at the bottom. You're laughing, beating me down, and then go, you got to be more positive, man. You suck. Be more positive.
I just realized, did you pick the background here to go with your Hawaiian shirt?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
I like it.
All right, next one.
Lightning doesn't strike even once as they lose a second time to the Destroyers. Yes, Alex sweeps yet another team this year. Been annoying, of course. 127 to 148. So we have Alex back getting the big points this week.
He's still rolling full steam ahead. And actually, Jordan kept it. It's down. It was a dominant performance, but Jordan kept it kind of close.
I mean, the McLaurin thing did not help.
Yeah,
it was only the second time in his career that he got a 0. It says.
Yeah, it's not that he even got benched or anything. It was tough. I mean, having. He could have. No, he couldn't have.
It would. I don't think he could have beat 148.
No, well, all you got to do is get 20 points. But he doesn't even have anybody. Amari Cooper would have gotten him 4.5.
I mean, he would have needed Eckler to go with his projection and then have somebody else step up in the wide receiver spot too. You got a 14 on defense, 18.7 on the kicker. I mean, McCaffrey's doing his normal McCaffrey thing. Mm-hmm. Mixon almost tripled his projection. He had a lot of good stuff going for him. And that's really the story of Jordan. And I when I say these things about Jordan, again, this is not me commenting on the state of trades, even though I do hate them with a burning passion. He's had a rough time of it. The White Lightning, as of this week here, took over having the most points against. They took it from Kara, and they are only like 0.2 away from your record of the highest points against. So it's been a rough one. His last
0.2 on average or 0.2
yeah,
total?
0.2 on the average.
Ah.
His last 4 weeks, his points against average is 134.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Even when he played you put up a 118.
I mean, it's going to be hard to win when. I mean, it's kind of the story of last year for me. Like my team was okay, but I just kept getting beat into the ground by everyone I played. Everyone I played put up 140. And it's like, how do I? Even if I score 110, 120, even the average score, I can't win games.
And I think if anybody wants to be humbled a little bit, go to that site that you posted the other day. I was checking around with it, I think, last week, and I was looking at the if you went with anybody else's schedule thing. I think this was 2 weeks ago. But I think if I had Kara's schedule, I would only have had 3 wins or something. It was like crazy. And I was like second in points scored too, total. So I was still putting up points, and it's still like that's just how tough it comes down to. With that stuff. And Jordan has had 127 average of his own over the last 4 weeks. He's scored 125 as an average, and he's gone 1-3. Like, yeah. That's tough. That's tough. And that's what I'm talking about when I just say, like, he did these trades and he's trying to do all this stuff. And at the same time, it's not paying off. But at the same time, and I've been waiting to say this on here, not on the Discord, but I've been hearing a lot of I bring up that stuff and everyone's like, oh, you just wait, he's setting up for the playoffs. He's set for it doesn't matter what the regular, he could lose out, he's in the playoffs. Okay, what makes anyone think the playoff teams are going to be easier to face? Like, he's playing playoff teams right now and losing. But the argument is, but he's ready for the playoffs.
Well, what he's hoping for is that you play a team that doesn't decide to randomly put up 140. Now, Alex is obviously the exception to the rule because this is just on par for what he can do.
It's a good day at the office for him.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this was actually probably above average for him.
Yeah.
But
at some point you feel
you hope Jordan somehow catches him on the week that nice one, Josh. I'm glad you can be a little self-deprecating. But yeah, sorry, hang on. Preach, Chuck. Yeah, you just hope that, and I mean, you look at Alex is riding the coattails of Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb right now. So you hope that, with their increased strength and schedule that you're going to hit.
Well, yeah, here's the tough thing for them. He's got a nice matchup with Dak Prescott against Philly here, apparently. But then he's got Buffalo, Miami. Buffalo he doesn't really have to worry about because he's got the bye. But then he's got Miami in that first round of the playoffs. Now, if he gets through that, he's got Detroit, and that's a little friendlier.
I'm surprised that the schedule happened. Josh must have messed up because usually we don't play the 17th week.
No, it's the 18th week we don't play.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, so I mean Detroit, but it's
and you could be looking at Detroit, who's probably going to very much be playing for a seed at that point. So
it's good. What are you going to get with those guys? I mean, Tyreek is always going to put up his usual.
Well, I mean, let's take a look at Tyreek's schedule here because
no, it's all red. I mean, if I were Alex, I would just bench Tyreek for the rest of the season. I mean, what's the even point, man? Matchups. So you got the 32nd, the 23rd, and the 28th.
Well,
no reason.
Well, okay. Now the 32nd one is his bye, so it doesn't matter. But then, Dallas and Baltimore is who Tyreek is playing for his
for the championship. Would be for his.
I don't think he's going to be putting up 30 points.
No,
in either of those. Also, I can't get over how much Tyreek Hill's picture looks like it could also just be a picture of like a wax figure at a museum of like a caveman.
It does. It does.
Looks fake. It looks fake.
It does.
Just like Joshua Dobbs looks like an Egyptian pharaoh, I think.
He does look like King Tut.
And I'm sure it's the hair, but and the longer kind of neck, but it's
It's
just
true.
just interesting.
Interesting.
History repeats itself.
Yeah, it's too bad he had Brock Purdy on the bench.
You might have to consider starting old Brock. He's
I was confused at him picking up Brock, which actually who is what I wanted to pick up when I got rid of Lamar, but he beat me to the punch. But thankfully, because of that, it put me in a better place to get put me in a better place to get Justin Jefferson. So I mean, in the end, it's okay.
Both of the last 2 weeks on Tuesday night. It's been busy. I've had pep band or whatever, and then I'm trying to get stuff figured out, and I'm just like, oh, shoot, I better look if there's someone I need to try to pick up this week as I'm laying in bed. And I'll look at some people, and I'll be like, I need to do a little more research before I do it. And then Alex will pick them up. And Alex is very much nab them, bench them, and then figure out later if you want to actually start them. If there's any shred that they might be something, go for it. And figure
I still don't know why he has Justin Fields on his bench. Like, I mean, are you ever going to start Justin Fields, Alex? Like, is there ever a situation where you're like, man, it's the championship, the matchup is perfect, I'm starting Fields. Like, get rid of him. Like, over Prescott or Brock Purdy. Like, there's no reason.
Oh, wait, look at this. In the championship game, Fields is playing Atlanta. He's holding him in the pocket. For that
championship game because
like Prescott's got a tougher matchup. We're rolling with Fields. Keep him healthy. Keep him on the bench.
Yeah.
I guess here's my other thoughts on this game. Another thing about the White Lightning, they have not beaten a top 4 seed all year.
Wow,
which is interesting. That I thought he's making him a future keeper. Yep. The Eckler trade continues to underwhelm, and that's got to be a disappointment to him. I think Eckler combined in all the weeks since the trade has maybe gotten what he should have gotten in one game.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, they have really been very underwhelming.
And honestly, that's, you kind of had that experience with Eckler too while you had him. He did put up those, but
I mean, he was starting to get hot after the injury though, and so that's why I kind of was like, sell him high, like sell while he's high. So
I feel like part of the problem is that the Chargers have just become such a pass, like throwing bombs down the field or you lose, and that's kind of
thing. I mean, the Amon-Ra for him has worked out fairly well. Like
Amon-Ra has definitely
he's been
except for this last week when Debo was.
Debo would have been nice, but Debo is one of those guys too, where it's like, is he going to score 35 or is he going to score 6?
So I look at the White Lightning, and at any given week, there could be some serious points coming out of this team if they all work out. But we've been saying that about the Fergals and the Jackals all year too. Like, oh man, this team looks good if they just finally put it all together. So it's just gonna be a question. If they do, then the playoffs, he could just tear through them and burn everybody and get the championship. But we'll see if they do. I'm sure the rest of us don't want him to. So we'll see what happens.
Sure.
All right, that leaves us with the Bulldogs.
Stop the unstoppable.
The unstoppable, the non-stoppable.
Made them the stoppable.
Made them the stoppables. And that's an appropriate thing that he's carrying the name into the next game because he clearly doesn't feel like he has a good opportunity to win.
I mean, I think he's been putting up fine points. I think he's an any given Sunday kind of guy where it's like he could put up 130 points. And he really hasn't dropped super low. So
Sam, he's only put up 131 since week 5. He's been pretty average around the teens, 1-teens.
I'd take the 1-teens. I would do a lot of things for.
He's had some luck too. He was able to win with 94, 89, and 101. So he lucked out there a little bit, but it was only his second loss since week 3. Keeps on making it happen. What happened? Well, I will go on record here and fully admit that Sam Howell was not the right choice.
Hey,
I will be the bigger person. Jordan Love was clearly an inspired decision by the Bulldogs, and we saw them go head to head. And I was stumping for Sam Howell last week, and I will get off of that train because he's on a bye this week.
Hey, I mean, Howell was a good choice.
He'll get you points. He'll get you solid points.
So something I've been learning, I think that I need to focus more on. And granted, how can you I'm not gonna be able to necessarily tell the future here, but picking players that are on good teams is usually a good thing, even regardless of because it's I got Garrett Wilson, but he's on a really bad team. Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, is a decent wide receiver that should be, if he's on a decent team, he'd be putting up a good amount of points, but he stinks because he's on a team that is not good. So it's Sam Howell's one of those things. Sam Howell's one of those things. You look at the quarterback, Dak Prescott, who's scoring the most right now. It's because that team is giving him ample reasons for success.
Well, and good teams are always going to have more fantasy-worthy players, but there are always examples of a bad team where one player, for a while, Adam Thielen was putting up lots of points because even though the Panthers sucked, he was the one guy doing anything. And
Justin Jefferson. I mean, the Vikings are a pretty average team, and Justin Jefferson's getting the ball the entire time, so he's scoring a lot. Yeah, I know what you mean there.
Mm-hmm. Howell was the passing yardage leader, but he wasn't converting them into touchdowns, and that's where the points are going to come from. Passing yards just don't get you that many points.
No. I think the quarterback passers, it's you get four points every 100. So, if you're getting 300 points, you're getting 12 points. So, if you're not scoring touchdowns, your guys got mid-teens points. So, it doesn't matter how many yardage you throw. You're getting one every 25 yards.
I'd rather have a quarterback that starts on a short field and keeps getting touchdown passes.
Yeah.
For that, or a running quarterback who's rushing, because those rushing yards are far more valuable than the passing yards.
I will be curious if the Blue Golds decide to put Love in over Lamar Jackson, which is another trade person. But
Love's got a good matchup.
He's got a good matchup, and he's playing really well.
He is playing really well. That's what I have here. I guess Sam would have won had he got Geno in, and he undoubtedly would have put Geno in because Sam would not have taken the time to think about another quarterback when he had one available on his bench.
Did he drop Geno?
He then did after the Thursday night game. Yes.
I mean,
I don't think Sam would have gone in the waivers, dug through quarterbacks, been like, "Oh, this one looks like a good match." No, he would have been like, "Oh, this guy's on bye. Geno's on my team. Put him in." That's what he would have done, and he
pretty much Sam's mentality. That's why Justin Jefferson went on the waivers. Somehow, Justin Jefferson.
That's going to go up there on Sam, probably edging out the time that I think. Oh, what was it? I think when he was asking for bye, when the one year with Josh was asking for buys, so I sent
asking for keepers. You're talking about
keepers, sorry. And I sent Sam a text and I said, "You got to keep Royce Freeman. He is the guy." And so he just popped on and said, "Royce Freeman for me, please." And then you guys talked him out of it.
Isn't he a kicker?
No, he was a running back, but he was the second string running back in the Broncos.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah.
And then he ended up keeping Allen, I think, because he's pretty much stuck with Allen. Does that make me an internet influencer?
I think so.
A texting influencer, I think.
Yeah.
All of my Sam influences come through texting.
Yeah. All right.
He does not watch the pod, I can assure you.
He does not watch it.
And he does not check. He only goes on Discord once a week to clear the notifications. And at that point, he says he is, quote, too overwhelmed by the conversations he has missed to go back and catch up.
I mean, I get it. But at the same time,
it's fun to go back
pop on once a day. See the story. It's good story.
It's been good stories.
If you were to scroll back on the main chat, you'd see some pretty good stories. You'd see some pretty good controversy.
There's laughing, there's crying,
There's crying, there's anger, there's sadness, there's
even
just
Kara
a full range.
One comment and then never talked again.
Yeah.
We even all said hi to her and she never said hi back. Very rude.
Yeah. All right. Well, So, on to the next topic of conversation: seeding, playoff picture.
It's Sir Crazy looking right now.
The playoffs are set, as in the participants in the playoffs are all set.
They finally got the star by all the names, but they were set last week.
Yeah. I mean, Drunk Dave got on and told you guys it was over.
Yes. Remember that. It looks like Dave has gotten his tolerance up in the past week.
Well, it's vacation Dave now, so true. I'm, wasting away in Margaritaville over here.
Yeah, looking for that lost shaker of salt.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got the Polecats and the Destroyers tied at number 1 with the Destroyers holding the tiebreaker points. Then you've got the Bulldogs took over the 3rd seed this week. It was it was one of 2 seeding flips. With the Nincompoops, they're tied in record, but the Bulldogs have the point advantage. Then you have the White Lightning and the Jackals, who have been tied, honestly, for like the last 3 weeks, I feel like, in record. But the White Lightning have significantly more points than the Jackals. And then you have the McRibs and the Fergals tied, with the Fergals holding the point advantage there as well. And I don't think any of the groups that are tied actually have very close points. Like, nobody's going to have this. Nobody's going to like either both win or lose and still switch, I don't think.
Yeah.
The Jackals are 92 behind the White Lightning. The Nincompoops are 60 behind the Bulldogs. Polecats are 60 behind the Destroyers. And the McRibs are 140, 50 behind.
147. And
wow. I got to say, one of my favorite parts of last week's pod was how much you and Jordan did math together.
It's good. It's
great. It was almost like someone should have been proud watching that presentation.
Yep.
On this. So yeah, we both said earlier we wish that each of these groups were playing each other, and it was just straight up win and you move up, lose and you go down.
Man, scenario. That'd be so good.
And it would be such evenly matched teams for the most part. I was thinking earlier this week, I was like, if you broke the teams into tiers, well, at first I was like, McRibs and Fergals are the bottom tier. Although I might be open to saying the McRibs are in a tier of their own. But I think they're both pretty similar in their tiers.
I mean, I'm so this is one of those scenarios. You remember last year how Jordan was technically second from the bottom, but everybody thought like Jordan's team was so bad.
Oh yeah.
Like his team stunk. Like he didn't even keep a keeper or didn't have anybody to keep. So he kept Aaron Rodgers. But
yeah, he put up the lowest points for. He only put up 1,673 last.
But my team was kind of like that until this week, where it was pretty much like Kara was the second to last team. I would even say if I'm power ranking this, I'm putting Josh in 7th, me in 8th, Kara in 6th. Now, does Kara deserve to be in the playoffs? No, but I'm just saying I think like Kara winning finally put us back into the right place. Like the only reason is because I got a couple of easy wins early in the season. Well, you've been losing so much, and Kara got a bunch of losses early.
If it helps, here's the breakdown when we do if everybody played everyone every week. So there would have been a total of 91 games played at this point, if that were the case. You would have won 21 of those and lost 7. Yep. Next up then would be Kara winning 31 and losing 60. Next would be Josh winning 37, losing 44. Then a bit of a jump to Sam winning 47 and losing 44. Something's wrong with my math there because they can't both have lost 44.
34 maybe?
Is 47 plus 44 91?
47 plus 44 is 91, yes.
So my guess is that Josh should actually be 37 and 54. And then you would have The Bulldogs winning. No, the White Lightning would have won 50. The Bulldogs would have won 53. The Polecats 58, and the Destroyers would have won 67, only losing 24 on there. So it's pretty similar to the actual line of things. Based on that, you could probably argue that Jordan's team is better than Sam's.
Yeah. I mean, man, that's a big leap. Although Jordan's team has scored more points than Sam's.
So I would guess if you look at that site, if Jordan had Sam's schedule, he might have more wins than Sam.
That's possible.
Because he tends to score, well, at least lately. Although, I mean, honestly, for a lot of the year before the trades, he was scoring pretty crappy on a regular basis, too. His team was just wildly underperforming.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how things shake out. The buys are set. That's not going to change. Who's playing in round one is not going to change. It's just going to be a matter of who's playing who. And really, I believe the game that might be most influential to it is probably the White Lightnings versus the Nincompoops, because that's the only game where both players are actually going to be playing in the first round of the playoffs.
If the Appalachian White Lightning would have had the stoppable Nincompoop schedule, they'd be 8-5.
Oh, so same as Sam.
And if the stoppable Nincompoops had the White Lightning schedule, they'd be 5-8. So they pretty much have a very similar team. They just kind of flip-swapped.
Very similar. Well, they played this week, so we'll get to see.
That is kind of crazy that if you would have had Kara's schedule, you'd be 4-9 right now.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's insane.
I've scored so well not like amazingly well, but just consistently strongly. You would think, and I would be doing that badly with that record. I would be so upset if I were sitting here with 4 wins and out of the playoffs, and still scoring and being second in the points for. That'd be very frustrating. That actually eliminates 2 games because it won't have me playing myself.
Yeah, it does
anymore. So
if I would have had anybody else's schedule, I'd either be 3-10 or 2-11. Except if I had Josh's schedule, I'd be 5-8.
Hey, easy schedule there. Is that so? Josh has the easiest schedule.
But it's not really showing that. Like if Jordan would have had it, he was 6-7. If the Doge Destroyers would have had his schedule, they'd be 8-5. New London Blue Gold 7-6. Stoppable Nincompoop 6-7. You would have had be 8-5.
So that's very good. So if you had Josh's schedule, you would improve by like 3 wins. But if Alex had Josh's schedule, he would have lost 2 wins.
Apparently,
that's crazy.
Yeah. If I'm going to see if there's any other crazy numbers here. If you would have had the Doge's schedule this year, you'd be 11-2.
Hey.
So you would have won 1 more. That's your best schedule. Let me think here. Yeah, other than that, it's pretty much if Kara would have had the Doge Destroyer schedule, she'd be 6-7. Otherwise, she's pretty much kind of the same.
Well, you can't, unless you're Josh, you can't control who you play. You can only control.
That is true. That is true. We are just
well. Let's dig into next week and then give our playoff preview of the preview.
Yep. All right.
We got first.
Oh wait, did you want to do thoughts on 16 playoff?
Oh yeah, let's talk about that real briefly. So this is the first year that we have that. If we had done 4-team, and I believe the main instigator of going to 16 was that last year. We were sitting there, and there was really no competition at all for the 4th seed for the last couple of weeks, but there would have been competition for 6th, I think.
And then it was totally opposite this year.
Actually, not really, because there would not have been a competition for the 4th seed here.
Oh, no, yeah, this would have been even worse.
It would have been ended a couple weeks ago as well. And and you're looking at this thing, everybody's tied in groups of 2, and that's just an unusual turnaround here. Almost any cutoff point would have been kind of done weeks ago, even if we had just left it to the top 2 or something. So it's kind of a weird year from that standpoint. But are we happy to have Jordan and Josh joining the playoffs?
I mean, it'll be interesting if one of them spoils the fun for somebody. Could it be like, my thought is, how do you feel about taking a week off? Like, are you going to be kind of bummed? Are you going to watch the scores and go, man, oh man, what would I couldn't. And then you put up a stinker the next week. Are you going to be like, man, that sucks?
It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird to like still have the season going on, but not have anything to play.
Yeah,
I think. I'm also, still very torn because there's only 1 week left until our full season records become pointless in the books. And that saddens me a little bit because 4 teams will be on bye, so they will not.
Oh yeah.
Now maybe it calculates. In general, Yahoo in its own personal record books does not keep records after the regular season.
No.
So it will lock in whoever was the highest scoring person at that point. Yeah. That's why I always do separate for postseason as well. So it's just going to be, I guess, what it is.
You could probably put together a.
Is it worth? Are you and Kara going to be stacking your team the best of your ability just to get points for statistics? No. So you guys are going to be probably erasing the password from your memories and never waiting to log on until August.
Yeah.
But, so that's a little bit, but I don't know. The bye thing is kind of cool because the top 2 seeds are guaranteed they'll finish in the first 4.
Mm-hmm.
At least, 3rd seed could finish as bad as 6th overall. It'll be. I do think that it's going to make you and Kara play each other.
Yes, it does. I think we will play when you guys play the championship. We basically are going to have a couple, because I was looking at the playoffs, and if you do click consolation, it does say we're in a quarterfinal with a bye, and then what's going to happen, I assume, is a semifinal that's also going to have a bye, and then we'll have a final.
That'd be my guess.
Unless I lose my semifinal, then Kara will play nobody.
And only 2 teams are going to end up playing 3 games, I think, because the 2 losers of the first round will then play each other for 5th and 6th and then be done.
Yeah, I'd assume. No, I wouldn't assume that
they wouldn't, because you didn't even make the playoffs. So
I wouldn't assume there'd be like a double consolation bracket or something like that, where like all of a sudden then the 2.
So the only teams that play all 3 playoff games are going to be the winners of the first round.
And if somebody wins if one of the first rounders
if it becomes Alex and me in the championship, nobody will have played 3 playoff games.
No.
So lots of weirdness could happen. Mm-hmm. I will cherish my spoiler role. He talks big. We'll all look back at this and laugh and point at him, or say, look at what he knew. He knew it.
Well, so Josh, I think you're at a lose-lose, because either we all look back and laugh at it, or we go, this was rigged. The commissioner rigged the whole thing. This is cheap, and we would all migrate somewhere else and leave you behind. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll replace you with Garrett.
Well, yeah, we'll see. Don't think I'm that desperate.
Which one should we start with here?
Let's start with whatever one cats and dogs face off with opposite desires.
Yes, very opposite desires. So there's only 2 teams on bye this week, and it's the Commanders and I think the Falcons or something. So it's not, nobody's teams are really compromised by Shackles Polecats. I like that. I like that championship very much.
The cats and dogs face off. What do you mean cats and dogs? Oh, because it's the Fighting Fergals. Okay.
I'm still calling the Fergals. I'm not changing their name of the year to do the Giraffes. In week 7, though, the Fergals pulled off the win, 144-116.
I remember that. That was a rough one.
Week 7, we thought the Fergal season had completely turned around and they were going to be powered. That was our prediction going into the second half. Virgils, they had gone 3 games over 120. They finally were hitting their stride. They were going to plow through the second half.
And
did not happen.
Did not happen.
Did not happen. I will just say this. I already saw when I was looking last night that the Virgils had the New England defense in against Pittsburgh, and then this morning swapped in the Philly defense against Dallas. And that's all I need to say about this game.
Yeah, I guess I'm picking you mainly because I know my wife and she really wants that number 1 overall pick. So do not be surprised if there is some strange things afoot.
I just there's no logical reason. I mean, Pittsburgh starting Trubisky and New England's defense has been good, so there's no reason she wants to lose. Meanwhile, a little bit of something that the Polecats have to figure out: the Tank Dell injury leaves a hole. Is Reed the guy to do it? I think he's a little too unpredictable for my liking, but thankfully I do have 2 weeks to figure it out because the outcome of this game doesn't really change a lot. I don't even have control over getting the number 1 seed. I need Alex to lose as well as winning. So I have a couple weeks. So yeah, my pick is the Polecats.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody that should. Kara doesn't lose well. Yeah, she is very competitive, Josh. She is a very sore loser. So, I mean, it's not lose well. It's she wants to. I don't know when you found that out.
Trubisky.
I don't know. I found that.
I think you found it out last year when he beat her in the playoffs in round 1. Or did I play her in round 1? I don't remember.
I think you did, but
no, she was the 3 seed. I think I played Todd.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, she was the 4 seed. I beat her.
Yeah, she does not like losing last week.
Who does? Who does?
She doesn't like losing. She doesn't lose well. Oh, I get it. Josh is trying to be funny because she was supposed to lose last week, so she doesn't lose well because she beat him.
Well, she definitely
you realize we're reading your text, tweet or your text, Josh. I don't get the irony of it.
She definitely did not. Neither of the opponents in that game came out happy.
But no, she did not want to win. She is very upset that she is the number 7 seed or the number 7 second overall right now. So again,
I mean, I don't think
not surprised if you see some empty roster spots later on in the week, or if she just starts benching people. I am trying to convince her otherwise.
Let's root for the all IR team that she puts together.
Yeah, I'm expecting her to throw Josh Dobbins in there just because J.K. Dobbins probably going to go in there. I mean, I think Marquise Brown possibly. I mean,
I love the idea of some NFL team trying to tank so hard they put all their injured players out there.
Just a bunch of guys in crutches, like
they got Rodgers out there throwing the ball. That's terrible.
That'd be so funny. I mean, you may see it with the Jets throwing the ball, and Aaron Rodgers might throw the ball the last 2 weeks of the season. You never know.
There's no reason to risk him.
No, there isn't. But you know that he just wants to. He wants to do
it. Yeah.
He wants to show.
He is the de facto general manager of the Jets. He will get to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, that's a pretty easy one. Open and shut case.
What do we got next?
Let us see. We've got Jackals hope to justify whining. I didn't write that, Josh.
All right, you got the 5-8 Jackals versus the 3-10 McRibs. Dave's Super Bowl.
Yeah, so I dubbed this my Super Bowl. I mean, this is okay, so I think if next year rivalry week, I think we have to put Josh and I, just because of not necessarily team rivals, we've been rivals, but our motivations and our I guess our viewpoint on this league and motivations and such are at total odds. That pretty much any decision that Josh says, he's a Republican and I'm a Democrat, basically. Not really, but
Mm-hmm.
Figuratively.
I mean, ever since
we basically have to go against each other. It's
ever since you gave up the commissionership to him, it has been clear that you have not been happy with the direction.
I haven't been super happy with the direction, but yeah, it's okay. I would do things a lot differently. I mean, I was more of a passive leader. I was more of a let things go and just set up the league and just let things smooth. Josh wants to be more involved.
Well,
and
to be fair, when you were the commissioner, there was nowhere near the level of involvement and scandals and such going on.
No. Well, and so I actually looked back, and I was actually talking to Jordan about this earlier today, and I was talking about I was looking back at some of my messages, and you know what my messages were like back from like 2013, probably 2014, 2015. Most of my messages, because I could see like the emails I was sending out, because I was looking back at like some old stats and stuff, and sorry, Josh just put passive leadership is not real leadership. I mean, there's some truth to that statement, but I mean, we aren't a corporation here. So the main messages I was sending out weekly was, please update your rosters. I am so sick and tired of seeing people with empty roster spots, because if you remember back in those days, like people didn't check their rosters, and like there'd be empty spots everywhere. It'd become Sunday and it'd be like completely like people aren't even like putting in like half a team. Mm-hmm. And people aren't checking, and and we didn't have this, and we didn't have nearly the sort of we had I think a Facebook group, maybe.
Maybe at the end.
We may not even have that.
I think by any metric, the league has flourished considerably under Josh.
I mean, yeah, it has allowed me to do this, so
without the stress. But by the way, Josh, I only wrote the word whining because it's what the people want, and when you're in the media, you have to give them what they want.
It's true. You give the people what you want, and I mean,
fair, Alex whines far more.
That is true. I did a deep dive on because Alex said something about go look. You guys didn't believe in me from day one, and I looked, and I was like trying to look, Alex. I truly did try to look for a text that you would have put on Discord that said, hey, you guys are sleeping on me. I'm going to be good. And all I saw was Yahoo sucks. ESPN is better. And you are not understanding how to change your players out and how to check the player stats, and then complaining more about Yahoo. And then, there was a scandal where you complained that the defense, the points for counted against the defense, even if the defense, something like that. Anyways, a lot of you just complaining about the stats and stuff. And I did not see any sort of mention of you going, don't sleep on me. I'm going to be good, guys. I'm going to be good. It was just a lot of.
I'll let you know. Here, I've got the notes from week 1.
Oh, right okay.
Here's what I said about the games involved. By the way, I'll throw this. The Jackals and the Polecats played each other, and I wrote it was a race to the bottom for the championship rematch. I was very critical of the Polecats after week 1. So for the Destroyers, I said the Destroyers make it off of Insane Hill Day and Josh Allen troubles. And then for the forecast for the next week, I said it will be another tight one. I think the Jackals will do better, but the Destroyers will eke out the win.
So we weren't sleeping on the Destroyers whatsoever. In fact, if you look at the picks, I think I picked the Destroyers to win a lot early on anyway. But
we did make fun of his tinkering, though.
We did make fun of your tinkering. We did think that the amount of tinkering you were doing, we thought that your double think was going to be your undoing, that you were going to basically paralyze yourself with choices. And it didn't. It ended up working out.
It did. I think Todd's comment there should be brought up at the owners' meeting.
There's a raise in salary.
We could possibly double it.
I would say 100% raise. I mean, considering he's making 0, 100% of 0 is 0.
Yeah, we'll just keep it there.
I think that's good.
All right, game number 3.
Yeah, let's
game.
Did we do? Wait, we didn't pick. You guys didn't pick.
Whoops.
You didn't pick.
Whoops. Oh, I never even really talked about everything. Dave.
We didn't talk.
Week 7. Week 7. The McRibs beat the Jackals 94-87. If Dave wins, he will sweep him. I think, Dave, that Sutton might be a better choice than Moore, but possibly too hard to tell.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess there's a possibility. Is it both of those guys? It's like, what am I going to get? Am I going to get 16 point? Am I going to get 16.7 point DJ Moore? Am I going to get 2 point DJ Moore?
Sutton's been pretty good recently, hasn't he?
I mean, DJ Moore had a 16.5 point game right before the bye. So that's kind of what I chose. I mean, Sutton played well last game, but then the game before he scored 6 points.
But the Chargers kind of have a crap defense.
They do.
So that's the only reason I thought.
Broncos are.
I would agree that it's a bit of a toss-up. I was just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I think Mostert and Achane are going to have a tougher time against Tennessee than they did last week. And it might hurt Josh that he's starting both of them. At some point, the Sam technique of running backs doesn't work. We'll see if that's this week or not.
The running back by committee.
And it is the debut of Jefferson in the beginning of a probably long and fruitful
career
where
as a mix something.
Where he breaks his back and is out of games next week in week 1. This is a tough one. This is a tough one, and I know there's going to be some critics here, and honestly, the game could be a coin flip, but when I went down and I looked at each lineup and I went like, I like this one more, I like that one more, I'm going with the McRibs.
Woo! Sheesh. Love it. I love it.
I will not be shocked if it's Josh. I wouldn't be shocked if this game ends in a tie. I would love it to end in a tie.
Ooh, that'd be a fun one.
Maybe we can be close.
In the double decimal era, a tie in the double decimal era would be phenomenal.
It would be absolutely phenomenal. That's the feeling I had there. Ask me tomorrow, I might pick Josh, but today is when I'm putting in my X. So
yeah, it's I mean, I'll say it again, but there's very few things certain in this life, but they are death, taxes, and me picking the opposite pick from Josh. So
even on vacation, he's picking himself.
So part of me is Josh has made such a big deal out of this year that it's just become a shtick now. So I kind of have to do it. But part of it is I truly believe that I don't believe in Josh's team. He's so schizophrenic in his scoring that I cannot trust his team. And I really do believe in my team. Josh can say I've counted myself out. I sold my team off. You know what? I replaced Austin Eckler with Jaylen Warren, who's been fairly plus then I had what's his face from the Cardinals. I had James Conner coming back. So, I mean, I replaced that guy. And do I think I fully replaced Lamar Jackson? No, but Lamar Jackson wasn't doing anything for me. So I think I would be in a different position if I hadn't sold out? Absolutely not. I'd still be 3-10 or whatever I am.
Well, we can tell you Eckler would not be getting you more points.
No, and I'd be 3-10 still, and I'd have no draft capital for next year. So say what you want about draft capital, but I think that I'm actually okay with you all picking against me. I mean, okay. Your tunes changed, but that's fine.
I think we have finally watched Josh go through all 7 stages of grief.
Replaced? I don't know what you're asking replaced for.
Replaced Eckler because you didn't. I don't know. That's
I mean, I had an open spot for Eckler, and James Conner came off of IR to replace Eckler, and then I needed another spot to replace, and Jalen Warren kind of replaced that, who's been doing really well with the Pittsburgh. Now, granted, he hasn't been doing well lately, but he was.
I know what it feels like, Josh. Last week I was watching Jordan's just going after the Polecats. First of all, on one hand, he's like, oh my gosh, the Polecats are always winning. And on the other hand, it's like, oh, the White Lightning and the Destroyers are the only teams that matter anymore. So I get it. I know what it feels like.
Yeah. So
we will see.
Yeah, we will see. Right now it looks like Dad's picking Josh. So
you got
somebody picking you, Josh.
The Miami players. It's going to come down to Monday night probably. So
yeah, it'll be interesting. That'll be a sweaty one if it's super close. But
yeah. Game 3. I put this as the game of the week.
The game of the week
because it's the only two teams that will be playing the following week. The 5-8 White Lightning versus the 8-5 stoppable Nincompoops. In week 7, the Nincompoops won 89-84 in a stinker.
Oh,
so we'll see. I think it's going to be higher scoring this week. Interesting tidbit: if Jordan wins, they will play each other again the next week in the first round of the playoffs.
Interesting.
So we could have one of the rare back-to-back meetings here.
It'd be an interesting.
Honestly, even if Jordan loses, if Todd wins, they still will play each other again next week. So there's a couple different ways that could shake itself out there. Actually, wait, no. If he loses and Josh wins, then Sam would play Josh. So
it's hard to say put him in, but it almost behooved Jordan to maybe put in Rachaad White over Austin Eckler. And I know the trade, but
Atlanta's bad. Well, it says Atlanta only gives up the second fewest points to RBs.
Oh, no. 30. Oh, wow. That is crazy. It's so weird because like Atlanta's defense is bad, but it's like
apparently it's just to the pass.
I mean, Denver apparently gives up the most points to running backs. So I guess you kind of got to go with Austin Eckler there. So although it's a divisional rivalry game, so it's like you never know with those games.
I think the big question is just, is this the week the White Lightning put it all together?
Could be.
Or is it another week where 3 or 4 of them underperform while a couple others put up 30?
Yeah.
And you just, it's tough to know. I think Miami against Tennessee has it a little bit tough.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee's got a pretty good defense. I think Eckler against Denver is going to be tough. Seattle, I don't know. The Seattle 49er game is going to be a big game, I think, and it's definitely going to have ramifications for the White Lightnings here. I said the Nincompoops look stoppable, so I went ahead and picked the White Lightning.
Yeah, me too. I think it was a pretty...
Will I be shocked if Sam finds some magic once again? Not one bit.
No.
Honestly, there is probably nothing that Sam could ever do in a game that would surprise me at this point.
Even if all of a sudden he replaced Josh Allen with Sam Howell.
I could see him doing that, and then Sam Howell scoring 30 and it being like
on his bye.
Yeah. Like Sam Howell was lent to the Jets for 1 week and scored 30. Or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
it is true. I do agree with that.
It's a competitive game, that's for sure. But Sam's team has not really had any consistent firepower. Well, even though the White Lightnings have been losing, they have been scoring in the 120s.
Yeah, I really do think that.
I think they'll be playing each other again in the first round.
Yeah, this will be an interesting 1-2 punch kind of thing. We'll see if
Sam's going to be watching close, analyzing it, and then reassessing his team for the following.
Oh, so much, like so crazily.
No bad.
Yeah.
All right, so that leaves the other game that I called Game of the Week ? We might have 2 games of the week here.
Game of the week times 2.
Destroyers try to preserve top seed against the Bulldogs. In week 7. What?
This isn't Oh, go ahead.
In week 7, the Destroyers won 126-120. Very close matchup between these two teams.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a lot closer than you think that, and then it's like all of a sudden the Destroyer's going to put up 150 points.
Well,
and it's just like going to be runaway. Like he's blowing over his expectations on a weekly basis. So it's like, is 119 really his projection? No, it's probably like closer to like 125, 130.
Again, Yahoo is very conservative with their projections.
They are.
The Destroyers continue to pile up points, and the Bulldogs are only occasionally able to. But the Bulldogs have a gauntlet of defenses. They've got Philadelphia, which apparently gives up the most fantasy points to these people, but I don't believe it. You got Tennessee with Tyreek Hill. You got Cleveland against ETN. I mean, Green Bay is supposed to give up a lot to running backs, but they've been a lot better against them.
Yeah.
Zach Moss against Cincinnati. You got Houston against the Jets. Should be good, I think, for him there. But he's got some defenses. But at the same time, so do the Bulldogs. They got against the, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Dallas. So I don't know. It's a tough one to pick. I decided to pick the Doge, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Bulldogs win. But honestly, I'd be shocked a little bit probably. But
yeah, I also picked Alex. I think I'm thinking in the same realm as you. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden the Blue Golds, and I'm rooting for the Blue Golds. Nothing against Alex. Sorry, buddy. And yeah, check out your matchups, but like matchups don't tell the whole story, and you know that. So it's just like, is Zach Moss going to go off? Probably not. Like, I don't know. Hasn't been doing well at all. Laporta against Chicago.
I think it's going to be a tough fight. I think Philadelphia is going to be very strong against Dallas, and it's going to.
Yeah, I tend to agree with. I mean, the thing is Philly has had 2 weeks where they kind of got stinkered. Like, they barely won against the Chiefs. And I get that they're the Super Bowl champs, but they barely squeaked out a win.
You guys didn't mention this, but I wrote it in the notes last week. The Eagles' schedule has been crazy. Their stretch was Dallas, Kansas City, Buffalo, San Francisco, Dallas.
Yeah. It's a rough end.
I mean, they're going to lose a game any team is eventually going to lose a game having that many tough teams in a row like that.
Yeah.
So I could see them really bouncing back and doing well, but we'll see. We will see. We're still picking you, Alex. We're still picking you.
Still picking you. We check out the matchup. We're
I just wouldn't be shocked.
We're saying we're not going to be shocked if all of a sudden
this
will be finally the week where you don't score 150 points.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe are closer to expectations.
If he scores under 120, it'd be the first time since week 6.
What I do notice is it's going to be pretty light on the scoring anyway until Sunday and Monday night.
They got the big games.
You got Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, and Saquon Barkley all don't play until Sunday or Monday night. So pretty much his scores in the early games in Sunday are going to be Houston, Justin Tucker, Zach Moss, Laporta, and ETN. And so, like, we're not going to really know what he's capable of until Sunday night, Monday night.
Big games.
Whereas it looks like my dad has a majority on the noon games, and he has 3. He has Devonta Smith, Tony Pollard, and Elliott. So, but the one thing that I don't like about matchups a lot of times when we're facing off of with one another, or when you start two of the same people that are facing each other, is it's like you're almost like if one player does really well, the other one's probably not going to do well. He's got Tony Pollard versus Devonta Smith, and so if all of a sudden like Philly takes off, Tony Pollard is going to be less part of the offense. So you're fighting. You have these two kind of fighting teams within your team. I always have a struggle with that. So,
well, we will see. Our last week of the regular seasons.
Would we still pick you if you had Purdy in? I mean, are you thinking about putting Purdy in? Probably. I'd be interested to see you put Purdy in, Alex. But I don't know if it's the smartest choice.
So, thoughts on the playoffs. We know that the Destroyers and the Polecats have the bye. My thought is that the Destroyers will be the number 1 seed and that the Polecats will be the number 2 seed. And so I think the week 1 is going to be the 3rd seed Bulldogs versus the 6th seed Jackals and the 4th seed Nincompoops versus the 5th seed White Lightning. That's what I think.
So you think that hang on, say that again.
I think it's going to be the Destroyers, top seed, Polecats, 2nd seed.
Okay.
So that would leave the Bulldogs playing the Jackals, 3rd seed and 6th seed, and the Nincompoops versus the White Lightning. 4th
so you
seed.
think it's going to stay exactly how it is right now?
I think it is.
Okay.
I just think, the questionable ones require someone to lose and win to pass,
Yeah.
So.
You never know. I think that's probably close to probably how it's going to be. I think, I guess, yeah, that sounds about right because I did not pick the Ninnies to win. And I don't pick the Jackals to win. So it's like, I mean, pretty much what all my picks stand at is keeping the status quo.
The biggest things to change things, I think, would be the Bulldogs knocking off the Destroyers, would shake things up.
Yeah.
And then if the White Lightning lose to the Nincompoops, it's possible the Jackals beat you and then leapfrog them.
Yeah.
Well. So then I would say in the second week, we're going to be seeing the Destroyers versus the White Lightning and the Polecats versus the Bulldogs. That's my prediction, is that the Sam would lose to Jordan and that Todd would beat Josh. That's my early prediction. We're talking 2 weeks, 2 weeks out now.
I mean, I hate to be similar, but I feel like that's exactly what I'm thinking too. I'd love to Skip Bayless you and be like, you know what? I think the Tharsis Jackals are going to take it all the way home. But that's just
Josh would like to hear you say that too.
Josh would love to hear me say that, but I'm sorry, Josh.
He did say it, so he could cut that quote out.
Yeah. I'm going to have to come on. I'm going to have to come on every week and go, how about them Tharsis Jackals?
And then way too early prediction. It's vanilla, but I see it being the Destroyers and the Polecats then in the championship game.
You think it's going to be the Destroyers and the Polecats?
That's my way too early kind of prediction. I think the Destroyers could knock off the White Lightning and the Polecats could knock off the Bulldogs.
I would love to hear me say that. I know you would, Josh. I know. Maybe on if we ever do a theme week where it's opposite week where we play the evil versions of ourselves, the mirror universe versions of ourselves, and I'm completely shaven and I just I vote for you constantly. But
hey, you know what I just found out, Dave? Since 2016, which is the farthest back my records go, the championship game has never been the 1st and 2nd seed against each other.
Yeah, there's always an upset.
It's never been that way. That's
so
crazy.
This could be the first week.
Last year was 1-3.
Am I? Well, I do have the beard, but
2 years ago it was 1-3. It's been 1-3 the last 2 years, which would be Destroyers versus Bulldogs in my prediction. 2-4.
I think the Ninnies will make the championship with me. That's my prediction. Is there a way that the Ninnies could? Yeah, I guess the Ninnies could be. You would have to have Tharsis would have to win.
Do you think the Ninnies knock off the White Lightning and then they play? No, because if the Nincompoops win and the Bulldogs were to win, then the Nincompoops would play you in the semifinals. So it wouldn't.
Yeah, so you would have to have Tharsis win and the Ninnies win, and then the Ninnies beat the Polecats and you win Tharsis.
And any example that requires.
I mean, I guess that is a possibility, but that's a very far out possibility. I would say, I think, man. So if you're going with semifinals with you and the Blue Golds and Destroyers and the White Lightning, I mean, I think that anyone could win those games. I think. Man, I'm almost thinking Blue Golds and Destroyers.
That would, if that happens, and it's the way we predict it's going to be this week, it would be the third year in a row that it would be the 1-3 seed against each other.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see Appalachia.
I could see it being
the Destroyers in the semifinals.
I could see it being Polecats and White Lightning.
I'd love it. That'd be a fun. That'd be
the first time a 5 seed makes it.
That would be the first time the only 5 seed ever made the championship.
Actually, so for Alex, if Sam beats Jordan this week and you beat Todd this week, then Sam becomes the 3rd seed, and he could then much more easily face you in the championship round at that point. So there's a lot of moving parts yet. Next week we'll have our official start point for the playoffs, and we'll be able to go forward on that. But that's just my way early a little bit predictions. Yeah. I didn't want to pick a champion because obviously it's the Polecats. We all know that. We read the script.
Yeah. I mean, I got the.
I would love.
I got the plan ready already.
Thank you. I would love to join the elite company that is back-to-back winners, which is only Sam and Dave.
Boom, baby!
So he's earned this vacation because he's lost 3, but he's got back-to-back championships.
Yeah, I'm like I'm the Packers or the Bears. We look back at our
and you won in 2 different
championships.
You won in 2 very different formats. You won the last year of NFL.com and the first year of Yahoo.com.
Mm-hmm. So good. Those were good times. Good times back
when scoring 120 was a huge.
Yeah. Yeah, it was tough. Sam was a monster for a bit. That was really tough. Sam would auto draft, never check his team, and yet somehow he's still plopped out in the championship, and we're just what the heck? Didn't know any of the players' names, didn't know what was going on. He's basically just playing the numbers game.
Yes, here's Sam starting in 2018. In 2018, he was the 1 seed, but he finished 4th. 2019, he was the 4 seed, but finished 1st. 2020, he was the 2 seed and finished 1st. 2021, he was the 2 seed and finished 3rd. So he had 3 years in a row of being the 1st or 2nd seed. And then last year, obviously, was when he got Todd's team and wasn't able to do much with
it. It is true. He did get the him and the Blue Gold swapped teams for a year. Mm-hmm. Now he somehow got Rich's team.
Yeah, I'd say so. No, Rich would not have as many wins.
No.
Rich is more like Josh. Right
Josh is Rich is more like
Rich is what Josh has because Josh is rich. We see him just whatever now and then win.
It's true.
Well, there's really nothing else until we see what happens this week. So big.
Yeah, it was fun. Man, the next week will be in it'll be playoff week. Playoff week, baby. This is the last week of truly
playoffs.
Regular season playoffs. Well, we'll see. I'll probably be streaming from my bungalow in Maui or wherever I am. So
Hey, I mean, I'll be on bye. I might be there too.
Just joining me.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I think our budget's big enough for that, right?
yeah, I think so. But all right, guys, thank you for joining us.
And good luck to everyone except Kara.
Appreciate the interaction. Good luck to everyone but Josh.